Hey everyone, it's Brano, and today I want to talk about how easy it is to be a hypocritical game developer. Now, around 10 months ago, Jonas Tyrola made quite possibly the most impactful game development video that I've ever watched. And the synopsis of this video is that if you come up with a really strong fantasy before you start working on your game, it will make everything else afterwards significantly easier when doing game development and game design. And I knew that having a good player fantasy was important, but I wasn't 100% sure that it was the most important thing. But after having Surface Breaker completely flop, as well as playing a lot of demos and trying to come up with new ideas after I had completed the content of Your Party Tied Again, it really dawned on me that Jonas Tyrola was completely correct, and that coming up with a strong player fantasy first is one of the best ways, and I would say the definitive best way, at least for me, of coming up with good video game ideas. And I made sure to change a lot of my methodologies before actually working on ideas. So before I was making my incremental RTS game, Endless Orcish Raiders, I was practicing one-line pitches to people on, does this one-line pitch interest you? And my pitch for Endless Orcish Raiders was an incremental game where you build up a large orcish base to destroy a human kingdom. That got a lot of interest from people, and about 2 months into development of that game, that fantasy was validated. Not by my game, but by another game called Orc Incremental. So I'm really grateful that Jonas Tyrola shares his ideas, including a video he made 1 or 2 days ago about how he didn't follow his own advice and how he basically had to throw away 6 months of game development because he was making a Dodo friend slot platforming game where he did not validate the fantasy before creating it. He was doing gameplay mechanics first led development, which is very risky. And he was like, this ain't got it. So he called himself out for his own kind of hypocrisy, and that's sort of what this video is about, because Jonas Tyrola is definitely worth listening to and definitely worth looking at for his opinions. And this video is basically just to iterate on this idea of how easy it is to not follow your own advice, how easy it is to be a hypocritical video game developer. Now, I'm not immune to this. One of my things that I really care about, and when I give out advice on making games and when I'm doing playtesting for other game devs, is that anytime I don't get a satisfying amount of interactivity when I interact with a feature, like I interact with a feature, I'm expecting a visual effect and a sound effect at minimum. And this is something that I pride myself on for doing a pretty good job at. But I have been called out for this and not doing a good enough job with this. So with my game, Your Party Died Again, which is an incremental party-based RPG dungeon crawler, I had to make a bunch of updates with these debuffs and buffs. So you'll see that when a debuff occurs, it will shake the debuff frame. And again, what was happening is that when I was refreshing the debuff, it was only refreshing it. It wasn't giving you like a real impact of that it was impactful. And if you see like the buffs that show up, they now pop out. Once again, showing that, hey, you've got something out. I could have been doing a significantly better job, and I gotta be honest with you, everything I was doing was quite static. And I've also done the same thing with these abilities. So you can see right here, when a heal goes off, or a health potion goes off, these kind of pop out. If I use Chain Lightning, you'll see that pops out and everything goes there. Now, the point of this video is that I was able to identify that I had not really followed my own advice. I had not followed the criticism that I gave other people. But why was I able to do this? It's because I am constantly getting player feedback. I am constantly giving people the chance and the opportunity to criticize my work. And if you are constantly in that space, and you are going to have to give back your own critique in return, but if you are constantly in that space, the flaws of your game will be presented to you, because the more you play your game, the more invisibles its issues come out with you. I played many games, and it's something where like the flaws can become very invisible very quickly. I've play tested a number of games where I have an issue with certain things for the first 5 minutes, and then I get used to them, and then it doesn't really bother me either. I mean, yeah, it's just basically what's going to happen. You are going to get used to the bad things within your game, and they're very, very apparent when you play them for the first time. But yeah, the point of this video is continually get feedback, continually put yourself into positions where you can get feedback, because it's really worth it. It really will make a difference to you making video games, and I think it will be the best defense against you being a hypocritical game developer, because you are going to be a hypocritical game developer at some point. There is too much going on within video games to do everything perfectly. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. Have a good one. Bye.